There's a lot going on and trending in college football news, from the whole Caleb Williams clapback to an alleged Harbaugh Michigan Spygate. Let's talk about it all with the godfather of recruiting, Mike Farrell of Mike Farrell Sports. Mike, let's start with the whole Caleb Williams thing, man. I go on X or Twitter, whatever people call it. I see your whole 6-minute rant of you defending yourself against the trolls, calling you all types of things because you called Caleb Williams arrogant. Why do you feel the need to address that? Why do you have to address that?
There was one thing I can't stand being called, and that's a racist. Everything else, you can call me anything you want. You can call me an old man, outdated, idiot, dumb. Everything in the book I've been called, but this is not a blue quarterback, black quarterback, white quarterback. This is just an arrogant kid, and this is the case, and it's always been the case since high school. You know, and the arrogance upsets me, and maybe that's because I am an old grumpy fool, but there's just a way to handle things. And, you know, the kid who ran out on the field is an idiot. You know, that's just wrong. Everything that kid did, you know, when approaching Williams and saying, you know, what are you going to paint your fingernails now? Idiot, right? So when you're asked about it, the first thing you say is everybody wants to be in my 12 and a halves, you know, so essentially everybody's jealous of me. Second thing you say is, you know, I don't care what anybody who has an association to a school just because they went there. Everybody's association with a school is because they went there. I mean, that's kind of how it works. Caleb Williams' association with USC is because he's a student. He just so happens to be a great quarterback. You know, and then the whole lions versus sheep thing is just, it's off-turning to me. I said the same thing about Johnny Manziel. I said the same thing about Baker Mayfield. I said the same thing about Kyler Murray. I just don't like it. So instantly when I say something like this, a lot of people say I'm an idiot, I don't know him, and that's fine. You know, but it's not attacking anybody's race. And that's what I decided to clap back on, because I just get tired of that. It's the same thing with Deion. You know, I've been negative about Deion as a coach and what he did at the portal. He purged his entire team, all that stuff. I don't care if Deion's green or blue. It's about opinions. But in this day and age, everything turns into what it's not about.
But so it's more of like you just don't want to see that type of flashiness in sports anymore. You're saying you're more old school. So it'd be more, I guess, not like a racism, ageism thing is what you're saying in that manner.
Thing. You can call me that. Ageism for sure. So I think there's a way to handle things. I just do. And I grew up on it. And most of the, you know, idols that I had in sports, doesn't matter what sport it was, you know, handle things appropriately, and maybe that's what I'm used to. I mean, he could have easily said, you know, he could have said many things. He could have said, you know, I don't really think about that situation. I'm focused on Utah. I'm moving forward. He could have said, you know, obviously that's not a safe situation, but everybody turned out okay, and I hope they crack down on that in the future. Or he could have said, you know, I wish we had won the game, and maybe USC fans would be the one storming the field. Anything he could have said. You know, other than saying everybody's jealous of me with the 12 and a halves, and this kid has no, you know, association with the school, even though he's a student, and the Lions, it's a pattern, and I don't know why I'm talking about it. What do I care? But it just annoys me. It annoys me to no end because, you know, people, they wonder why Kyler Murray hasn't worked out at Arizona. They wonder why Baker Mayfield's on his second team. They wonder why Johnny Manziel was out of the league in 2 years. Because this is a character issue. This is how it is. And I see this kid, talented, could be the #1 pick in the NFL draft, all this good stuff. Just humble yourself. And I have no right to say that, but I do have the right to say it on social media because everybody else has the right to express their opinion. Disagree with me, I don't care.
Well, you could also say that there's really no script there in that manner, because you can name cocky quarterbacks who didn't pan out in the NFL, but then we could also name some of the ones what we called the most Brady Quinn, or some of the most humble ones out there that didn't pan out in the NFL. You know, there's always going to be a hero or a villain, in my opinion, in that situation. I think we can kind of agree to disagree on that one. Let's move on, man. But thank you, man, for clearing that up. Like I don't look at that as you're a racist because of that. You just prefer a certain type of quarterback, or how you would want a kid or quarterback to handle that situation right there, and that's what you're going off of. Man, don't listen to all that other stuff. Don't let them bait you.
Phoenix handled himself great this weekend. So it's not a race thing. That's the only point.
Absolutely. All right, man. Because another thing that's trending, that's a lot of people talking about, is the Jim Harbaugh Michigan news. I want to let's flip it, man, because the investigation is going on, but I want to see the effects of it, or get your thoughts on the effects of it from a recruiting standpoint. You think these kids these days, you think this is going to factor, or they're just going to look at it like who cares?
They're going to look at it like who cares, and only if there is some sort of punishment. That will impact recruiting. Every investigation in the history of college football recruiting hasn't impacted a school unless there's some sort of sanctions taking place. Loss of scholarships, loss of bowl appearances, loss of playoff eligibility, things like that. That's going to affect recruiting. The NCAA, I don't know what this is. I don't know if it's true or not true. Obviously, Harbaugh didn't participate in the cheeseburger, situation, and was very defiant towards the NCAA in that regard. He served a suspension for it. Maybe they're coming back at him because they didn't like the way he handled it, and maybe they looked foolish in the whole thing. Or maybe there's some merit to it. I don't know. It won't affect recruiting because I don't think they're going to really do anything. There's been talk of they're not going to play this game this weekend, or they're not going to be eligible for the college football. Good luck with that, NCAA. It's just not going to happen. The NCAA is not going to take that step. I don't see any sanctions coming from this, so I don't see a recruiting impact at all.
So there are reports out there about it being an ex-Marine Corps captain doing the spying for Michigan, allegedly. You think they could? Would you put that past them in that sense?
No, I wouldn't put anything past Jim Harbaugh. I don't know Jim Harbaugh personally. I just, I know a lot of people who know them. I've had very limited interaction with him. I just know how competitive he is, but I also know that he comes from a different world. I mean, he's a former professional quarterback. He's an NFL guy. The NCAA is an annoyance to him. It was at Stanford, when the NCAA, academic guidelines and things like that, he didn't go around them. But it was a huge disadvantage that he actually worked with Stanford to overcome. Now with Michigan, you've got this COVID scouting, you've got the buying cheeseburgers for kids in an NIL world where they're allowed to make thousands of dollars, and now you've got this scouting, stealing signals thing. If he's gonna hire somebody, I don't think it needs to be an ex-military guy. You could take some clown in his office, have him sit in the stands and steal signs. That's why I just don't think there's anything to this, because if you want to do that, if you want to pre-scout a team in person, or if you want to steal signs, you can do it. It's not hard. There's 100,000 people in the stands. You can figure it out. To get caught and to do it in such a way with a military person just seems way over the top. I wouldn't put it past them, but I don't think there's a lot to this.
We're midway through October in the college football season. You have an article on your website talking about the top transfer portal disappointments. Who are some of your top ones and why?
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed in Denver Harris, the cornerback at LSU. He was a five-star kid out of high school, committed to Texas A&M, got in a little bit of trouble there, but I thought he'd be a great fit for LSU. LSU's defense has been horrendous. The secondary has been awful. He has not played up to his potential as a five-star player. Deontay Thornton, who was a big-time recruit. A lot of people wanted Deontay Thornton, in the portal. He goes to Tennessee. Their passing offense is horrendous, and that's not all his fault. Joe Milton hasn't panned out as a passer there, and they've had to win games at Tennessee, running the football and playing defense. But he's been kind of disappointment. And then, of course, everybody asks about the quarterbacks. Devin Leary, Kentucky, has not played well. I thought he was going to be a difference maker for them. They've lost a couple games now, and the passing attack is just not there. Hudson Card from Texas, who went to Purdue, I thought would be a great fit with Graham Harrell. I thought he would put up big numbers. Not that Purdue was going to win 10 games, but I thought he would be very effective, and he's been kind of horrible too. So, you don't always point out, we're coming out next week with the top transfer guys, but I will tell you in this cycle, there's a lot more disappointments than there are, big pickups. And it's kind of telling. You got to be careful in the portal. Some of these kids are overranked out of high school. Some of these kids are leaving for a reason. Some of them have become complacent. Some of them are just not as talented as we thought they were. And the portal can't become your sole recruiting ground. Dion is Dion. He can do that, but nobody else can. So you got to be careful in the portal.
Mike, tell the people where they can find you.
MikeFarrellSports.com, longtime recruiting guy, but we do a lot of college football stuff. We do a lot of NFL stuff. We just give opinions. That's it. Opinions. And listen, I don't mind if you disagree with my opinion for the right reason. Just don't lump me in for the wrong reasons.
Hey, that's the best way to put it. All right, thanks for joining us.
All right.